So what have we learned? Viruses have a number of routes by which they can infect us. Often, person-to-person encounters can mediate viral spread. Coughing and sneezing can launch airborne viruses as microdroplets that, when inhaled, can directly transfer viruses. Zoonosis creates yet another avenue where intermediate carriers like mosquitoes, birds, and monkeys can act as go-betweens, playing a crucial role in the infectious cycle of viruses. In this lesson, we encountered a rather diverse collection of viruses, each responsible for a serious human disease, and together representing the various modes of infection. Smallpox is airborne, a rather large enveloped DNA virus. Yellow fever, a positive strand RNA virus, is transmitted via mosquitoes, as are other flaviviruses such as dengue, and the most recent celebrity of this family, Zika virus. Ebola and flu viruses illustrate negative strand RNA viruses, both causing diseases that can be highly localized, as in the case of Ebola, or pandemic, as in flu. Finally, we discussed one of the smallest virus families, the picornaviruses, where polio, a naked RNA virus, was the stimulus that launched the March of Dimes. The following are some key points. Devastating diseases can be caused by viruses of all classifications, minus and plus strand RNA, like flu and yellow fever, DNA viruses like smallpox, and enveloped or not, like Ebola and polio, respectively. All modes of transmission can lead to serious, fatal diseases. Knowing the route of infection can help in prevention. Covering your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing, washing your hands before meals and after going to the bathroom, and using mosquito nets and insect repellents. All are means to reduce exposure, getting infected, and spreading viruses. Epidemics of devastating proportions have not only killed millions of people worldwide, but have sometimes actually changed the course of history. And speaking of change, it's curious how change has sometimes commemorated these historical events. Have you ever noticed who's on the $2 bill? Oh, thanks. Actually, I guess some of you never knew that there was a $2 bill. See, it's Thomas Jefferson, the deal maker of the Louisiana Purchase. More common is his bust on the U.S. nickel. Let me see. Curiously, the coin preceding the Jefferson nickel shows a Dakota Indian, like the victims of the 1837 Great Plains smallpox epidemic. I bet many of you never realized that an Indian head used to appear on the U.S. penny. And it's only since 1909 that President Lincoln is shown on the U.S. penny. President Lincoln freed the slaves, which reminds us of the slave uprising in Haiti, led by Toussaint Louverture. Finally, replacing the Mercury dime with the bust of Roosevelt in 1946 is a direct tribute to the president who did so much to fight polio with his March of Dimes. Now, a last point is that throughout this lesson, there has been a somewhat less obvious message, yet by no means less important. Pre-exposure to viral disease can lead to immunity. Yes, it seems that our immune system can learn from experience and become ever more effective when challenged with a second round of exposure to a virus. Thus, the Spanish soldiers invading Mexico unknowingly were armed with immunity to measles and smallpox. Similarly, the uprising slaves of Haiti had the upper hand on the French troops due to their previous exposure and subsequent immunity to yellow fever. And finally, as we will see, understanding how immunity works has led to the eradication of smallpox and virtually the disappearance of polio. But before we move on to the next lesson, let's review the interrelationship of some of the terms we have learned in the following concept map. This lesson has focused around different modes of transmission. Clearly, a very effective route of spread is when viruses are airborne. We produce minute droplets when we cough or sneeze. And if we are contagious, viruses such as flu and smallpox can spread and infect others. The distribution of viruses can also be mediated by bodily fluids. Contaminated blood can transfer viruses such as Ebola. And as we will learn in the coming lessons, HIV, the cause of AIDS, is sexually transmitted. Although seemingly unreasonable, oral fecal transmission is actually quite common, and the spread of diseases like polio can be markedly reduced through effective hygiene. Finally, we reviewed the number of modes of zoonosis, the transmission of disease from animals to humans. Being bitten by mosquitoes or other insects can lead to the spread of diseases such as yellow fever and Zika. Birds and pigs are natural reservoirs for flu, as are bats and monkeys that are apparently the source of Ebola virus. Understanding modes of transmission and the biology of the viruses can help prevent disease. However, when we do get infected, we must rely on our immune system. In the coming lessons, we will learn about immunity and how to implement this knowledge in the fight against viral diseases.